DurchBurch.
Hello! This is the video that I spoke about in the short, and Gwen's here. So, basically, as I had mentioned in the short, the goal of this video is to kind of talk about the Switch 2 experience we went to over the weekend, kind of breaking down like each of the different parts and like what our thoughts were as we went through all that. So, would you like to say any part?
Hi. Yeah, we went on Saturday at the... What time were we? The 12:30?
We were in the 12:30 group.
The 12:30, and then we were there until like 3:30 or longer. We were there till 4.
I think it was like 4. I think we technically overstayed because I got lost in the games. Well,
you weren't lost.
They didn't tell me. They didn't tell me to leave. Because that was the thing, is like I realized that the thing saying like, oh, your group is moving forward at this time was a different color than our group, and I was like, oh no, I'm still here. And so I just walked up and I was like, I think I was supposed to go forward. It was each of the different hour block groups had like a different color wristband, and they would like indicate when you were done in the free play area with like a time and like a thing in the background is that color. So yeah, I overstayed.
Do you want to give like a brief synopsis of like the sections we went to?
Yeah, I guess we could kind of mention some of that. So the structure overall, like first, hello guys, coming over here now. Okay. So the first section we went through was kind of just going hands-on with the console, not turned on or anything. It was just like literally holding the console. They had some kind of
the waiting area before the first section. Like there was another group in there still, and we just had this like little area to stand where there were a few projections, and there was like 2 stations where it was just like it was off. It was just to look at like the hardware.
And they had like some display cases that showed like all the peripherals and the docks and stuff. And then there's also like a like video that was playing that was like just different trailers from the thing. It was warm in there. It was warm. There's a lot of people. But yeah, so I guess that's a good kind of segue into the console itself.
Very heavy.
I don't know how much. So it definitely does feel heavier, but every single thing we used felt heavier by like a significant degree.
They had like anti-theft, anti-drop like stuff attached to it.
Like everything was like plugged in and like secured with like a friggin' boot.
Yeah.
So like you just could not pull anything away and like run off with it, but it added some weight.
You tested the security of the Joy-Con by like subtly yanking on it.
Yeah, so like the new Joy-Con, because you know, you guys can see like a little video of me like fiddling with it.
By the way, I was cameraman.
Yeah, anytime
if
you
any
see
shots
me,
are bad, it's my fault.
If you see me, she was filming, and it probably looks better. If you see her and it looks really poorly shot, it's probably me. So like the new Joy-Con, I was kind of worried like because they're about the same thickness, but they were pretty comfortable. Like even though they were larger, like the curve is more gentle. Like, and you can see that in like the trailers. But like it did actually feel like very comfortable in the hand.
Yeah. As I have slightly smaller hands than you, and it was still comfortable for me.
Yeah, and
I'm someone who generally finds a PlayStation controller a little more comfortable than an Xbox. Yeah. For comparison.
But yeah, so like the Joy-Con, like the way they lock in, it does feel very secure. I didn't try, and I don't know why I didn't think to try this, but like, you know, when you have like your actual Switch, right here. So like there's like a little bit that you can like wiggle the Joy-Cons, even when they're like securely locked. Like this set locks very securely, but I can like kind of shift them up like maybe like a 0.5 millimeter or something in the rails. and you can kind of like wiggle it forward and backwards a tiny amount. It's not a lot, but it is like an amount that you can do. Switch 2 does not have that.
And it also pretty much in the same spot as where like the release button is. It's like a toggle switch that you pull towards you, so it's like in the motion that you pull it off, which is nice.
And it goes more easily than like the Switch 1, because I feel like everyone had an experience at some point with the Switch 1, either when they were like putting on like a wrist strap or taking off the console, where they like, were scared to pull too hard because they're like, oh, I know I'm pushing down on the button, but I don't want to like break it. And so, like, they just didn't want to, like, pull hard enough to actually remove the Joy-Con from the rail. Mm-hmm. And the Switch 2 does not have that problem, because when you push down on the thing, it just, like, pops it out.
It also had a similar surface area kickstand, but just, like, a centimeter border.
Yeah.
Like, the center part was empty.
That was another thing I was worried about when I'd seen the first trailers, was that, you know, it looked a lot like the OLED stand, but it was just such a thin piece of metal, and I was like, oh, is it going to feel flimsy? And I think it does feel like you have less purchase as you're moving it. Like, obviously, like here, I can grip like this and feel like I have like a very broad and secure, like, kind of grabbing point. You don't have that on the Switch 2, but it felt very sturdy.
Granted, we didn't have a table in front of us to, like, set it down. We could just kind of, like...
I think hypothetically we could have, because I heard from the Good Vibes Gaming guys that they did try setting it down, and like one of the things that like Steve tried to do was like set it down and like push it like this to see if he could like strain the kickstand. He said it felt very like secure, like it didn't feel like it was breaking or being damaged by him doing that or anything. And apparently, during the press one, they encouraged them to, like, really yoink on those controllers. They did not encourage us to yoink on the controllers.
We weren't really given instruction. It was like...
Yeah, they were just like, here, you can hold it. And so I was like... like, I'll pop the thing off, and I'll pop it back on, and I'll try pulling a little bit. He's sitting there, like, in the footage that Good Vibes Gaming got, they literally were, like, holding it like this. Like, literally like this, like with a hand under it to catch it if it fell off, and it did not budge, so, like, you know it is very secure. Like, it felt secure to me, but then seeing what they did, even beyond, like, me just pulling, was very impressive, considering it's entirely magnetic. I thought that it would be mostly magnetic to, like, get it into position, and then, like, something would, like, slot in to hold it in, but no, it really is 100% magnetic.
We were talking about the... What did we call this?
Like
it's
the
not
curve.
bevel, but
it was gentler. It's a smoother curve.
Smoother curve than these two edges. I didn't really look at the ports, did you?
I did not look at the ports. Because I was also worried about like holding up the line to
I know, yeah, because there's a line behind you.
Yeah.
Of people. We're all kind of idling, but like you're also in front of like the Nintendo person. You're like.
Yeah, so
cool, great.
I was like, I'm not gonna hold this too long and fiddle around, but
I feel like it. I don't remember seeing what the right and left were made of, but it was a very like nice click.
Yeah, I think everything with the build quality just felt really high.
It felt really nice.
Like, I'd like noticed the texture was different. I think you're gonna hear me reference the Good Vibes Gaming guys video on it a lot, because like I literally just like watched that like today was like their video on it, and the finish of the controllers here, like it feels very plasticky. The finish on those ones is still plastic, but it's like a very like satiny plastic, which I feel like the Switch didn't have. I think, for really anything.
Something else we noted is like the amount of the front that the screen takes up was about similar.
It was, I would say it was most similar to like a standard Switch. Like there is like there's a bezel on the screen. It's not nearly as small as the OLED one. Like you can see, like if I have my screen on my OLED, you can see that it goes like pretty close up to those edges. On the standard Switch, there's maybe like, you know, another like 0.5 centimeter on like each side, and it's just a slightly smaller screen. The Switch 2 does have a larger screen, but because it has a larger form factor, like it doesn't go all the way to the edges. But it's still like, it feels, because it's a larger screen, I would say that it feels less kind of like constricted by the outside than like the original Switch model did, or like the Switch Lite model did. Since I was talking about like the bezel, I do want to mention like the screen itself.
The bezel, not bevel.
Yeah, not the bevel, the bezel. So the screen itself. So like, you know, it's 1080p, and there were some people who were kind of like, oh, you know, well, you're having 4K on the TV, like, well, maybe they should have a 4K screen. It was fine. 1080p, I like. On the Switch, you don't really like notice that it's 720p that much when you're staring at it, but you can tell that it's not as high res. Honestly, like at the scale that it was, 1080p felt good. Like it felt very crisp. You know, looking, because you know when we were playing games, like we would, in some cases, like for example with Mario Kart, which we'll talk about later, like you know we played on the TV and we played on the handheld, and really like I didn't feel a noticeable like resolution difference, even though there was a pretty substantial resolution difference, just the scales being so different. It felt very good.
We were kind of talking about like there's an extent to which when you go from a lower resolution to like a mid resolution, it's like a big difference, and then as you get better, your eye can't really distinguish it.
Yeah, you have to be like closer to notice those differences more. And then as far as the screen goes, like the OLED was like a kind of a big step up from the original Switch, and a lot of people were disappointed that the Switch 2 was running with an LCD, like LCD screen instead of an OLED screen. But while presumably there are some quality differences, I've seen a lot of other clips or someone like directly compared. It looks pretty comparable for the most part, like, and this is something that I think was Digital Foundry pointed out, like you can tell that the screen is backlit, even when you're on like a black background, like it's a gray tone, but like we were in a pretty dark environment, like it wasn't particularly well lit.
You can tell in the footage.
Yeah.
That it was
and I think it looked fine. Like it looked really good, and one of the things I've actually noticed from people who took comparison pictures was that the OLED screen is more reflective than the Switch 2's LCD screen. So when people would do comparisons, you would just see the lights that were up above, like reflecting off of the OLED. Like you can see here, like if I aim this at my lamp, such that it reflects into the camera, like it's very reflective. The Switch 2 screen is not nearly the same. Like having them side by side, there's a noticeable difference in how bright the other lights in the space looked. I mean, on the screen.
Not only were we in a dark room, but the lights, they were like overhead lights.
Yeah, they were overhead lights,
like, and
they were small but bright. And that, so like it left the room kind of dark, but like if you looked directly at one of those lights, it was quite bright. So like the fact that it didn't reflect much off the screen is pretty good. I'm hopeful, because the original Switch kind of struggled. If you were in the sun, it was really hard to see. I'm hoping the Switch 2, based on that like reflectivity difference, is maybe actually able to be decent in the sun. But that's, you know, obviously something we couldn't really look at. Other things console-wise before we move on. Let's see here. We got to use the Pro controllers. They also felt a little heavier, but they also had that same cable setup that the console did. So that could be entirely just their security measures made it feel heavy.
Once you can, and it wasn't like the cord wasn't really taut such that it was pulling, but
it was just,
there were like metal brackets.
Yeah. Like it was like a metal boot.
So like once you have a Switch, you can probably comment better on like
the weight difference. But like it did feel like it had a little more meat to it.
But not much thicker.
Yeah.
Like
the
just
console,
heavy.
the Switch console is this like the same thickness. And I honestly, I'm like, that I'm not huge on, because I'm like, you could have fit more battery in there if you made it like just a little thicker, like just slightly thicker.
I also feel like maybe this is just me. I'm not sure if you also noticed this, but like I felt like the transition between like console or Joy-Con and screen was like really nice.
Yeah, because it's interesting because there's a little tiny
I feel
gap
like this little
visibly.
gap
So
wasn't really there.
Yeah, they don't have the notch at the top. So like if you have like a Joy-Con to fit the rail, like for the Joy-Con, the Switch has this like tiny little gap that you can see. Like you can see a little bit of me poking through. The Switch 2 doesn't have that at all. It does have a tiny bit of distance where you can see like that little color that runs along the like part that slots into the Switch 2. You can see that just a tiny bit,
like half
but
a millimeter.
It doesn't. I don't know. Like I thought it would look weird, but it really doesn't.
It's very sleek.
Yeah, it looks, even though it's kind of broken up, the fact that it looks broken up but feels so solid, you don't even think about it. Yeah, as far as the sticks went, this is something that since I wrote these notes has become a point of contention, because and I added a note.
Point of contention on the internet.
Yes, on the internet.
Not like between us.
They are not Hall Effect, which I feel like a lot of people have taken the words Hall Effect and gone, oh, that means good. If it's not that, it's bad. And I just want to make clear, the reason that the Joy-Con on the Switch 1 struggled, or the Pro controller had some issues with drift, or PlayStation controllers or Xbox controllers can drift, is because everyone is using the same standard that's like this like graphene like strip with like a brush that goes over it, and that brush can wear away at it and make it less sensitive or cause issues where it will like get stuck. That is one type of control stick, and that is the bad one. And it's the current industry standard. Hall Effect is a separate company's like patented stick, and they are very expensive. The thing is though, they are very drift resistant. The Switch 2 sticks, there is like a patent supposedly that was like, it wasn't leaked, patents are publicly accessible. There's like a patent that was filed by Nintendo in like 2023 to make their own magnetic control stick mechanism. It's presumable that that is what is here, because one of the things that they cite in that is that they kind of like at the edges, like they like increase the like viscosity. I don't know what they meant by that, but like the I guess the way the magnetic field makes the stick move kind of has this feeling almost as if it's in honey or something, which actually tracks with the experience with the sticks. Like I would say they were very smooth feeling.
Yeah, like, not honey, like it was a very like good experience. It wasn't like as if your stick was literally like sticky.
Yeah, no,
like,
it was just smooth.
Or like needing more push, like it didn't.
Yeah. It just it felt smooth.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
You like as you're playing, you almost forget to like notice things because they're not grabbing your attention, like that there's something that doesn't feel right. If something didn't feel right, it would grab your attention, and you'd notice it. Like I kept forgetting to like almost critique it.
Yeah, I like to think of the things.
I was like, oh shoot.
Yeah, and like because when we went back to the hotel, I was like using my actual Switch. These joysticks on the Joy-Con here, like they just feel so much less smooth. Like, and they kind of make this like little clicky noise as you're moving them.
Sound.
Yeah, and that's something that they specifically talked about in an interview, is that the new sticks are very quiet. I think it's just because they are so smooth. They are remarkable control sticks. I have not knowingly used like a Hall Effect stick at any point in time, but I would imagine it's probably like this similar smoothness. So whatever Nintendo's cooked up here, even though it's not Hall Effect, I think it's at least comparable. Obviously when people do like teardowns, basically, like when people do teardowns sometime, we'll probably know more, but I'm hoping that The graphene is entirely gone, and it's just replaced with, something at least similar to what the Hall Effect stick offers.
I also, you mentioned the Pro Controller. I appreciate that we got to try so many different, versions. We got to try, just with joysticks. We got to try the full Switch. We got to try the Pro Controller. And then, what do you technically call this?
They also let us use the Joy-Con grip at one
the Joy-Con
point.
grip. Theirs seemed a little bit wider.
Yeah, so because the controllers are larger, it's the whole thing. Just imagine this is scaled up to, that much bigger.
Which feels nice.
I would argue this one is kind of uncomfortable to use in, my hands.
Even mine, it. Because it's so close to get there.
Yeah. I honestly feel...
it's fine, but...
I feel like this, the charging stand, where it's just flat, I feel like this is arguably more comfortable for me with Joy-Cons. I don't know why, even though this one is designed to be more ergonomic.
I think because you can kind of rotate your hands.
Yeah, you can put your hand in however you want, whereas this, it kind of has a constraint on what your hand can do.
Got it.
There, I got the stand. I'll click it back in.
So we got to try literally every version. We got to try each version. You had opportunity to try each one a few times, in addition to, the one area we went, they instructed you, try it with this one, and then try it with this one.
Yeah.
So that you also got to play on the screen, or, the screen, a giant.
Yeah. We also got to do mouse mode, which that was new. That was pretty good. All things considered, again,
very smooth.
I was a little skeptical because I was like, I've used cheap computer mice, and they have some things where it just won't feel great to use. I think that the Joy-Con 2, they felt pretty good to use a mouse.
You think of a mouse and how wide it is and how it fits your hand. You wouldn't think something this thin would feel nice.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah, somehow.
And especially because the Switch 2s are a little bit longer, they really this feels slightly awkward because it's not filling up the rest of your hand, but glides real smooth. Did you get to try it on your pant?
I did not.
On
they said to, and I was like, that sounds really cringe, and I'm gonna be embarrassed if I try it. So I'm not gonna sit there.
We were
and try
playing
that.
at a table.
Yeah. So I just continued to use it at the table. But I'd heard from people who did try it on the pants that it feels really good. I'm a little skeptical because I tend to wear a lot of looser fitting pants.
You wear a loose fit track pant.
Yeah. That's my.
I wonder if the wrinkle that happens.
Exactly.
Instead of a jean or something.
Because I've used even my actual computer mouse, which is a nice mouse. I have a nice mouse. This it's a very lightweight, high DPI mouse that I'm able to customize pretty broadly. It struggles because I've used it on my pants before, because it is a wireless mouse if I unplug it. And that has had issues sometimes with reading certain things. So I'm a little skeptical that mouse mode on the leg or on your pants or something will always be good. But at least in the game that they specifically highlighted that option, which was drag and drive, that I'm sure is better, because my guess is that it's just looking for that forward motion, and then when you're using it as an actual pointer, though, it might not be as good to use on your leg. So that's something I kind of want to wait till, I own one to try, but...
Well, because something where you have to have more precision might be a bit more tricky.
Yeah.
But also, so the one game we played, we were in a team. We're both right-handed, so you have a left stick and a right stick. And so we both had them in our right hand. You had the right in your right hand. I had the left in my right hand. And it still felt equally as comfortable.
Yeah.
You would think that the toggle would
feel
disrupt
worse or something.
That somehow, but it didn't.
The one thing that definitely could be a bit of a concern is that some of the mouse mode games they gave us a good bit of space to use. And while the mouse, they have confirmed you can adjust the sensitivity and stuff, it still feels like you probably want to have at least a mouse worth of space, like it's a typical computer mouse worth of space.
Well, that was funny. We were watching the I forget who, like it was Nintendo itself where they were like demonstrating.
Yeah, the Trios Live.
Because the camera is on exactly just like less than a 1 foot by 1 foot area, and they're moving it like this, and it's moving across the screen.
Tiny movements.
So like, you definitely can scale it way down, but that's tricky. We were using it, like, we were sitting next to each other just slightly farther than we are now. We were not, like,
we weren't, like, hitting each other or anything.
So it's not like you need to, like, have it just like a giant area.
The last note we've got, as far as the console goes, though, is HD Rumble 2. They took HD Rumble and they said, what if it could be rumblier? And, it was. There weren't many games where I fully noticed it, but that's kind of the point of HD Rumble.
Last one.
Yeah, the last one had some moments that I definitely noticed. The last game being Donkey Kong Bananza. I definitely noticed the HD Rumble in a few cases, not during actual gameplay.
Cutscenes.
But yeah, it was
really
like the cutscenes.
Rumble. I guess because you're not doing anything.
I would say most of the time I didn't notice it more than like the Switch's HD Rumble. But that's also just because that's kind of the point of HD Rumble, is that it's just immersive. So like unless you're really focused on it, you're not going to necessarily notice that, oh, when I'm playing Mario Kart 8 and I'm drifting or something, I have this like slight rumbling sensation. Like, you know, you might not notice that in game, and that's kind of the goal of it, which maybe also hurts it a bit. But yeah, that's probably. But it's also probably just outside of the cutscenes we're not even noticing, because we're just like, I'm picking up dirt, I'm throwing dirt.
I can't wait until you actually have a Switch 2 and you can like one-to-one compare things like that.
I want to try the HD Rumble.
You're trying to remember how something feels when it's probably a subtle change, but is it a noticeable change? Maybe.
Yeah, and HD Rumble 2 though, it was good. It was HD Rumble. Like I liked HD Rumble 1. HD Rumble 2 was better when I could notice that it was better.
You are someone who has Rumble on for just like your phone.
Yeah.
Basic things like text and stuff. Like you like that feedback.
All right, that's the last note we have as far as the console goes. So now we can move forward into Mario Kart.
Set the scene. They told us to get into pairs. So we're already in a pair.
Yeah, it was.
And that's once everyone was paired up, we were released into the next room that you could tantalizingly see from afar. So we went in, and it was
Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
With that,
and there were 2 Mario Kart rooms.
There were.
So, first one.
I'm just gonna preface with the footage you're about to see, I did not release on its own because it is worse. It was the footage I hastily tried to set. So I was hoping that like maybe.
Was it your footage or not?
It was something I set up.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, because so I asked our first attendant that was there, like, oh. Or, like,
there's attendance like everywhere.
Yeah, I was like, are we?
Like, there's probably 20 per room.
Yeah, there was like one for every TV and then some. And
yeah,
I was like, oh, is there any way you could like hold my phone for me to film this? And she was like, oh, we're not allowed to touch your phone. So I was like, okay,
which is
that's
like
fair.
Makes sense.
That's fair.
And then I didn't want to hold it because I want to play Mario.
Yeah, and we had to play against each other. So I was like, okay, what do I do?
And there's like a really thin table in front of you, but not really anywhere you can prop it.
Where you'd be able to see both the TV
You have to have you and the screen in view. So you were trying to set it on the table behind us because we were in like a few rows.
It was on the table
stations.
Behind us, like balanced on Gwen's purse with, was it your phone underneath my phone?
Yeah, you tried to put my
because my phone has like a little kickstand, and so it was like on the kickstand, but that angles it down. So I needed to then put it onto a purse to like get it up, and then I had to go like a little more, and I had to get it just right so that I had the maximum.
And they start by saying like you have 20 minutes.
I know, we have
because you have a set time at each area. And Jordan spends like 3 minutes
trying to set it up. People are like racing, and we're like trying to set up a camera.
So then we played. We just played a standard,
Mario Kart.
like a few rounds. Just we played like one like just regular like 3-lap race.
Yeah, I think the first one we did was against each other in Grand Prix. Then
they encouraged us to switch to
handheld mode. Yeah.
So we each had like a full like switch.
And we were not racing against each other in those.
No,
we were just
on
racing against computers, doing another Grand Prix.
Oh, do you want to?
It wasn't a full Grand Prix though. It was like one race and like the path.
You don't
to
have
the
to
next.
cover full.
But yeah, so as far as like things that I noticed with.
Oh, also I love how at each station there was like a little diagram of like a Switch controller explaining like
all the controls.
Well, because for the specific game, so like for Mario Kart, it's like you can do this and this and this, and then it like Donkey Kong, it like specifically says what each one does. It's like just in case you don't.
I needed it once. I needed it once. Yeah. It was not for Mario Kart.
I did need it once for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
I was like,
but yeah. So with Mario Kart, the steering feels a little different than 8. It's something I'm gonna have to get more used to, but also they had auto steer on by default, which forced me to skip some shortcuts, which you might have noticed in my footage that I uploaded from when it was like just me playing in handheld. I tried a shortcut twice, and the auto steer steered me away from it each time because I didn't have a mushroom, even though it was mushroomless. That was rude. It was rude. I can't do the wacky things.
Granted, I haven't played a lot of the recent Mario Karts as much, but drift feels nice.
Yeah, the drifting was good.
And I always like testing on a motorcycle because sometimes the drift is ridiculous. On like it'll go way too sharp, way too quick. So I liked how it was.
Yeah.
I did also try with we both tried with like a heavier character.
Yeah, we did a variety. So like one of the other
heavy characters when they drift, they like tip a little
Oh yeah,
bit.
I didn't even notice that, but yeah,
because I played as King Boo.
Yeah, and I played as Cow.
Like as you drift, they go like, woo, and then they go. It's cute.
But yeah, so one of the things that I was kind of going in kind of curious about was like those like snacks, which I think they're officially called fast food bags. They make you go faster, but I don't think they last as long as a mushroom. And they also like they'll trigger an outfit change, but I don't know what an outfit change does. I tried asking like, oh, do the different outfits have different stats? And the staff people that were there, they weren't sure.
I don't know how this is very specific. And maybe it's more common to newer Mario Kart games, but even when I was like within the top third, it would give me a lot of like mushroom boosts. I feel like usually you have to be in like last to get, like I would get like an infinite one when I was like halfway down the pack, and I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you also, I assumed also.
Yeah, it was, I mean, with 24 new, like now there's 24 racers obviously, so it's like they had to tweak how the item spawns work. I'm not sure what the new thresholds are, but yeah, it definitely feels a little more, a little different from
start of the race.
Yeah, so some races, not all, but anytime you're going on like those like longer like roads between maps, you have like a rolling start instead of a standard start, but it still starts the same. It's just you're going already, but like you still can like start hitting the gas on 2 and get a boost and all that. So like, it still functions mostly the same, but you do get like a kind of a rolling start.
I did test it out. Are you able to like peter out or like?
I did not try. I was too good.
I know. I didn't want to be behind. I wonder if you still can, or if they took it out.
I mean, I'd imagine you can. They
I didn't try to like hold it on one.
But one of the things that I did note was that, you know, characters have different stat spreads. Obviously, you would expect that from Mario Kart. Initially, I was like thinking, oh, it's probably weight class. I was able to confirm from someone who'd like uploaded like a video that was just all of the stats that there are weight classes. They're probably not final because some of them felt weird. But like, yeah, they do have weight classes. It's not that it's not a case where every character has a different stat spread to themselves. It is dependent on weight classes, but the carts you can pick aren't weight class restricted. So, you know, you could pick one of the heavier, faster carts and a lighter character and get something kind of more balanced. So you can kind of still mix and match as far as that stuff goes. But you obviously, like, one of the things that they changed, though, is you can't customize your cart. You're just getting, like, a cart. It is a specific cart. It has a specific stat spread that it gives. And then your character from their weight class will add their stats to it, and you'll get whatever your final stats are. But I did note the water mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
They,
with the, like, off-roading.
Well, like,
well,
just the water.
Yeah. You
like,
no longer go in it.
Yeah, you don't dive down, you go on top. And it's kind of funny, I feel like they replaced the glider and the underwater with what Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed had, which were boats and planes, except the plane is still a glider. Like, you're not just flying, like, you do slowly drift downward. But the boat mode is boat mode, and it is kind of crazy.
It almost feels similar to, like, sand areas with lots
yeah,
of
you feel like slippery, and they have waves, and you can, like, bounce off the waves, and because it's
the
like,
waves
physics
like grow
driven,
and shrink.
Yeah. And because it's physics driven, if you go, like, off a wave and you land in the water, and you'll go down a bit into the water, and then the buoyancy will push you back out. So you can actually, if you do it just right, you can go off a ramp and then kind of chain these, like, hops in the water. I thought that was really cool. But one thing I did notice is that you slow down a little bit when you're transitioning from land to water or vice versa. There's a moment in my cow gameplay where I was, like, on an edge, and you can see I go onto land and I'm like, go dunk, and then I go into the water and I'm like, go dunk, and then I go on land and I'm like, go dunk, and I just lose, like, all of my speed in that process.
Granted,
so that's something to keep in mind, is that you don't want to, like, keep alternating. That's not a strat. It's an anti-strat.
And they're built-in parts of the track, so everyone has to go through them. So it's not like it's unfair or anything.
Well, like, what I was doing was not the track. Like, it was not what the track was made to do. You were supposed to either go onto land or into water and stay where you chose. I just was on the edge and kept, like, kind of nicking that edge where it would, like, make my tires go away, and now I'm in the water, and then I would, like, tighten up a little bit and could be on land. So, like, I was just in an awkward spot. It's not something you're going to run into a lot, but it is something to keep in mind. Like, pick a path, whether you're going to be on land or in water.
You also got to go, like, in the water when we went on we were only in the off-roading for, like, pretty much a little bit while we were waiting.
We got to free roam as, like, a waiting room.
Yeah. You can just go into the ocean and leave. Like, you can just...
You can go wherever. I tried to go to the Donkey Kong track, but I ran out of time.
Yeah. The sailboats have little boosts off the back of them.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can...
There's lots of, like, little things in random different corners.
But one thing I did note, 24 racers, kind of chaotic, not gonna lie. Not necessarily bad,
especially,
but it is more chaotic with items. They nerfed a lot of items, though, too, which I think it makes the middle of the pack crazier that there's so many more people there.
It makes it easier if you're gonna throw something like a bomb to, like, actually hit people.
It does.
Or a green shell, like, you will hit someone because there's so many people.
It's interesting, though, because they did nerf a lot of those things. Like, a lot of the items don't feel as powerful. Like, I noticed if you're in the middle, it's really hard to get to the front. Because, not just from the items going crazy everywhere, but because you get an item and you get less out of it than you would in, like, Mario Kart 8. Because, you know, you have, like, 12 racers, you get a red shell, you knock one down, you've moved up a 12th of the race.
Well, not only that,
with this, you're moving up a 24th.
The people, like, behind that crazy middle have, like, bullet bills, they've got the shrink, they've got, like, they're throwing all that at you. You're in this giant pack in the middle. There's some guys a few way up front. Yeah, just even
Very
just
chaotic.
carts running into each other and running each other off the road is enough to make it chaotic.
So I'm curious to see, like, in actually playing it and getting more used to the 24 players, how that will feel. But it definitely felt like it's a game you want to front run for sure. And it's hard to catch up if you don't.
We played both 24 with entirely CPUs except for us, and with entirely people. So how was your experience between those? Was one more chaotic? Was one?
People were more chaotic.
Human people.
Yeah. Though I do want to note real quick one thing that I noticed with there being 24 racers is not only are items less powerful, like a lot of them are nerfed, but item boxes are a lot harder to get. It is so easy to miss your items because you have all these people and they're just flying through item boxes left and right.
They generate quickly, but
it's not fast enough.
So there's 24 total when there's like 18 of you in the middle. I went entire laps without being able to grab one.
Yeah, no, same.
And it just sucks.
It honestly, like, that's I think the biggest downside to those long stretches is that, you know, you're going mostly straight, but it could be interesting if there's like a lot of items going around. But it feels like you're missing a lot of items.
It's chaotic enough with everyone else having items.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I would have preferred is maybe if they handled it a bit like Mario Kart Tour. If you haven't played in Tour, if you know, item boxes are kind of grouped, like there's a line of item boxes. If you hit multiple of those item boxes, you only get one. Those groups are kind of fake. They're just completely visual. If you were to drive through a spot where someone had just driven through an item box and you hit that empty spot, it will instantly spawn you an item box and give you it. So just going through that line got you an item, not going through a box. So with this game having 24 racers, even though the items respawn quickly, you know, it's so easy to miss out. I think they might have been better to let you do it like Tour, where just driving through that spot that's supposed to have a box will give you a box. But like maybe they decided against that because it was like too chaotic or something. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so the second room we went to, because the first room was Grand Prix focused, the second room we went to was Knockout Tour focused, which is the new mode.
That's the one where you're playing with 24 human people. It's madness.
Well, that was just our experience. Like hypothetically, you could play Grand Prix online if they have it online. But Knockout Tour specifically has in game, you'd primarily be doing it in single player or online. And you don't go through any of the racetracks in full. Like there's no full laps. You're just going on the long road between, I think, like 4 different races, and then you do like one lap of the last one, and it like kicks people out over time. It's kind of like elimination battle royale styles, where it's like, oh, you have to like be doing better than X, you know, place to.
We didn't make it super long.
Yeah, no,
we got out at a similar point.
I got out and then was like, well, I guess I could film Gwen, and then filmed, and then she got out at the next checkpoint. So
was that the like 19-second video?
Yeah, it was
That's how long I lasted.
It was kind of tough because I got stuck in the middle pretty early.
Yeah, that's where the middle's
I crawled my way out of the middle with a lot of mushrooms, but in the end, I think I ended up like getting hit by an item at a very inopportune time, and then just like a bunch of people passed me, and it was impossible to catch up.
I had like one person pass me on the lap, and that's when it eliminated me. Like I was one behind. And
actually, that's one thing I do want to note. The biggest thing, and you know, a lot of people have talked about, oh, those parts between the races look boring. They are, like, relative to the racetracks, they are boring.
It feels like when you're on a real life road where the speed limit's 30 and it feels like it should be 60.
Well, that was just because we were playing on 100cc. Like, the speed is not a problem necessarily if you're like, playing the full game.
You felt like roads went so long.
But
I don't know what my cat's doing.
The biggest issue I felt with it was because it's mostly straight, there's very few shortcuts, and any shortcuts that there are minimal. So you're just going straight, and there's not a spot where you can cut a corner. There's not a spot where you can, like, it just feels like
I was sitting there like,
there's
drift,
no
drift.
Yeah, there's not much to do there except go forward, use item. So it feels harder to catch up. Like, that's what I mean by, like, this game, it feels like it's more of a front-running heavy game. It's harder to catch up from the middle, especially in, like, Knockout Tour, where you're not on racetracks at all, like, for the most part. You're just going straight. It is very tough to catch up because you don't have those opportunities where it's like, well, I have a mushroom and they don't, so I can take this shortcut. And it's like, you might not be able to do that at all.
Overall, it was fun though.
Yeah, but that's it was a fun mode. I think I'm a little cautious about it. I don't think it's as fun as, like, normal Mario Kart to do the Knockout Tour. So I'm hoping it's not, like, a huge focus of the game. But...
I also, like, our experience was, once you got knocked out, you could just go to the next room. If you were, like...
they just let us go on, so it was like, oh...
If you were, like,
we'll leave.
Playing it in your living room, and you got knocked out pretty soon, it's like... And your friends are still going, like... I guess you just sit there.
You'd probably choose to go back to free roam if you lose.
Yeah. I'd also be curious to see how it is against mostly CPUs.
Mm-hmm.
See if it feels different. So, for reference, where I played Mario Kart the most is on my DS Lite. That was like hundreds of hours. After that, it was mostly playing it at friends' houses, more sporadically. So a lot of my reference is like the first Mario Karts or like the old ones. So you have more reference for the newer ones. When I have picked up ones like Double Dash 8, they feel a little overstimulating. And like they feel like I would need to play it for a little while longer to actually like pick it up and not just constantly be running into things, running into areas where it's got like a track, like a carpet going the opposite way, where you take a turn too tight. Like, I would just constantly be like in last in something like 8. This felt very intuitive. It reminded me of the DS. I don't know how similar you found it to other ones, but I found it, I was nervous that it would be like 8 and I would just constantly be at the back and like just frustrated that I wasn't able to like do things. Mm-hmm. So I was very pleasantly surprised that like I could drift successfully like how my hands want to, and that I didn't like go off the track a million times and stuff.
Yeah. One thing that I did, I noticed that I'm hoping there's like a setting for this, but if not, like, it's just something I have to get used to.
It is, yeah.
The items are automatically held behind you.
I automatically did like arrow back and hit.
Yeah, it's like, it's a neat idea, but I did find a lot of times where I would accidentally like just throw my item because I was so used to just holding the
Did
button
you try to
hold
do
my item
anything
behind
like
me.
manually throw a green shell like forward, or like did you try to do it ever like the opposite way?
I only ever tried to defend intuitively, because that was a big part of, especially 8 on Wii U, was you wanted to be very defensive because you could only have one item at a time. So when you got a defensive item, you wanted to hold it as much as possible and you wanted to keep it behind you. And so I'm just so used to, when you're playing Mario Kart, you hold the item button because you have an item and you're holding it.
Especially
in
like
this one, it's
Bananza.
just not, they don't hold it behind you. Or like, you don't have to hold it behind you. Like, 8 holds it behind you. And if you try to push the button to do that, you will just throw it behind you.
I wonder how things are like I would always like hold a banana behind me, and then if that wasn't what I was looking for, you throw it forward. Like,
yeah.
Can you still do all that?
Yeah.
You can? Okay.
Yeah. You can still do all that. It just automatically holds it behind you instead of having it be in your character's hand when you're not holding down the button. The last thing that I wanted to note was just, So like we didn't get to see this, but the time of day on the tracks can vary.
It was nighttime once.
It was, but that was because that was the track was nighttime.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get to experience tracks not in the state they're meant to be in. Like it was not like like the night track we were on was like that is a night track. So I don't know yet if like in Grand Prix and stuff like that you'll see that the time of day is always consistently moving forward or what. But when like you're in free roam, it obviously
right. Is it like Minecraft or
yeah? Like I don't know.
Progressively. We also during mainly Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, there's one person per like 2 to 4 people, like one Nintendo event person, and they would periodically chime in with like, you know, oh, like mentioning the day-night cycle, mentioning, oh, you can. They
wanted us to know about that day-night cycle.
They did. They were proud of it. Or mention things like they would periodically just chime in with different things like throughout your playing experience. Not too much that it was like disruptive or anything, but enough to be like, hey, notice this, did you try to do this? Stuff like that. Yeah. In the DK it was like one person per game.
Yeah.
Because that one is individual.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that the varied weather sounds cool. We also didn't really get to see that in the demo, but supposedly if you got hit by lightning like for a little bit afterwards it would rain. I didn't notice that, but presumably that means that the tracks would become slick if someone uses lightning, which I thought that was really cool.
Lightning to shrink someone?
Yeah. I didn't notice it either, but that is a thing. It was shown in the Good Vibes Gaming Mario Kart footage. They mentioned that like someone used a lightning bolt. And
there's
then
so
it was
much going on in Mario Kart, especially with the chaos of 24 people that you just don't notice everything. We played how many games would you say we played? We probably played 2 on the big screen. We each played 1 on the smaller screen.
In Mario Kart?
Yeah, Mario Kart. And then we played 1 knockout.
We did 1 on the big screen against each other.
Yeah.
Or no, we did do 2.
No, we did do 2 because we went back.
We did 1, and then we did handheld, then we did 1, and then I did. Oh no! Okay, we did the big screen. We did little screens. I did little screen, and you filmed. We did big screen, and then we ran out of time. We weren't gonna do another big screen.
And then we did knockout.
Yeah, then we did the knockout.
And you filmed a bit of me.
Yeah.
Filmed those 19 seconds.
Yeah. So after Mario Kart, it was the. I forget what they called it, but effectively it was like the free play room. Like they had a bunch of different games at a bunch of different stations, and you could kind of go to each one. Yeah, so they had like these like tags that were your like attendee tag, indicating like whether you were a player or you were just someone like there with like as a parent or something to like go with a kid.
You got this at like the beginning.
Yeah, it was the very start, and then they would like put a little letter indicating that you'd
it's like their
game.
Initial in a different color.
Yes.
So you had the option to play up to 6 of there were 1 or 2 games that didn't fill one of those spots, but because you get a full like 15 minutes at each one, 6 spots, it was a lot. That's an hour and a half.
Yeah, and because we were recording, we weren't always playing
and
at the same
you're
time.
Sometimes like in line behind 1 or 2 people to go to a spot. This was the biggest room, and this was almost like arcade feeling. Yeah. Like with each little like stand. There were probably, would you say there were 4 rows each double-sided? 4 to 5, because then there's the Yakuza.
It was like 4.5, I would say.
That were each probably, how many would you say? 8 were along each? 6 to 8?
Something like that. Like, yeah, there was like a good number of TVs.
Each of those double-sided, one entire row was Dragon Drive. And then there was the Hogwarts, there was Kirby, there was Breath of the Wild didn't take up a spot.
Yeah, that disappointed me. I actually didn't get a chance to play Breath of the Wild because of that, because they were like, oh, go play something else. We won't give you a thing for doing this one. I was like, all right. Should have given me a thing for doing this one. They didn't want us to play Breath of the Wild, apparently.
There were also only 2 spots for it.
Yeah, there was 1 for Breath of the Wild, 1 for Tears of the Kingdom. So the next game we played after Mario Kart was we played the Mario Party like mouse mode. They also had a station set up with the camera mode. We did not do that one.
You
but
just heard
we
the
heard,
screams from camera
we heard
mode.
the people playing in that one.
Especially teenage boys love to scream in that mode.
But yeah, we played the mouse mini games. There were 4 different ones that we played, and I thought that all of them were pretty fun.
Yeah.
So the
I
first
feel like
one,
inherently Mario Party games, you kind of
yeah,
have to play them a few times to really like get the strat down.
Yeah. The first one we did was an air hockey game.
We both suck at air hockey.
We both suck at air hockey, and that did not go well for me. But also, the staff member had just wiped down the table, and our side of the table was the last part wiped, so it was not the most mouse-friendly table. And then
like
the texture of the table is the same as the one that I have at my work desk, and I know for a fact my optical
glossy.
mice hate. Well, it wasn't glossy. It was that like slightly bumpy plastic.
Oh.
Like that. It's where it's like it's almost a matte finish because it's a smooth plastic, but it has these like tiny little bumps. And yet kind of like I don't know, like you feel it. Like it almost feels like if plastic could be fabric. I don't know how else to describe it, but it hurt the mouse controls a little bit, but it was more accurate than I was expecting for the texture of the table, because for some reason that was like the only one that you used mouse controls that they didn't have a mouse pad. That was the other thing. It's the only one that you didn't get a mouse pad. You were just on the table.
I wonder if it's so you can wipe it down better.
I guess, but they didn't do it for any of the other ones, so I don't know. But yeah, the air hockey one, it felt a lot like air hockey. I suck at air hockey, but it was fun.
Oh yeah, we did that.
We lost that very fast, and most of their points were scored by me.
I was hitting
I
it,
would
like,
hit it back.
into...
Yeah.
No, I did it quite a bit too.
I did it more. I think I scored 4 of their 10 points, maybe 5. It was bad.
I didn't know. I was telling you this because this is like the first console that acts like a mouse that's not a mouse. I felt like I kept mentally comparing it to a mouse, like playing a game with like click, but not something like Overwatch, like a simpler game where you're playing and you're clicking, and it obviously feels way nicer than that. But it was just, I guess, interesting to mentally compare them. Things like how smooth it glides, how soundless it glides. Like you didn't just hear a whole table of like.
And that was also because we were playing with the wrist straps. Because the Joy-Con 2 wrist straps have like little like pads on them to make it glide smoother. Like, so hypothetically, if you were not using a wrist strap, you might hear it like going across the table, but no, well, you didn't have it on your wrist, but the wrist strap was on the controller.
Right. Okay. You don't have to click as hard as even a mouse. You don't need to click that hard, but it was like even less. You don't need to move it like as much. You don't need to be like going across the table.
They had it set up like this for us.
Yeah,
basically. Except with a mouse, a little pad on the bottom instead of buttons that stick out.
I know. I would be curious to try it on different types of pans, because like honestly, I feel like that's the way most people are gonna. You're gonna be sitting on the couch.
They really emphasize that that's how you're gonna want to do it, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to do it that way for a lot of games.
And I'm also not gonna clear off the table.
Just to play a game on your Switch.
But yeah, every single Mario Party one we used a mouse.
Yeah. The next game we played with it was the one where you like, you have like it's like those like little cars where you like pull back on it and you let go and it's like.
Yeah, you like click, drag, let go.
That one I enjoyed a lot. Like it took me a little while to figure out
you
how
have two
it works.
Sets, two teams of 2. Every game was 2 teams of 2, but
yeah.
You have like a small ramp in between. You got two goals on either side. You're both like winding up your cars, and you like run into each other a lot, and, like fall off the edge.
And your goal is to get your car to the other side.
It's basically air hockey with
No.
cars. No,
I would say it's more like weird curling. because you're trying to get your car that you have very little control of once you let go of it. You're trying to get your car through a goal on their side.
Yeah, you can't really do
but
anything.
But at the same time,
stops.
they're trying to get theirs on your side.
They very dramatically run into each other. They like flip.
Yeah. But the HD Rumble felt really good on that one. That was one of the games where I like did notice it, and that was because I'd heard that it was good, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna pay attention to this one. And yeah, it felt genuinely better than I thought it would. But I really like that little pullback card one because it was surprisingly strategic. You can play defensive, you can play offensive. If you have good aim, you could just shoot all the way down that ramp and into the opposing goal
there's
in
also
one
like
go.
There's a little bit of chicken where you're both sitting there. Mm-hmm. Both teams want to wind it up all the way and just shoot straight. And you're both sitting there like, so you're gonna let go.
Then we did the one where you sort email.
Yeah, by the way, there were 6 games to choose from. We played 4.
Yeah, the email one felt really good. It just felt like you were using a mouse to click and drag things around.
If you like sorting things.
Yeah, it pleases the autism.
Game. Yes.
And then the last game we did was Stuffy Stacker, where you're trying to like build a taller tower out of things, and you can like rotate them with your mouse.
The other team was so much smarter than you were.
Yeah, we just play it very smart. We were doing all right. We did comparably until the end, and we just collapsed because we didn't support things enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one takes a lot of brain juice, but it's pretty fun.
I would be curious to see, like, there's only so much you can do with a mouse mechanically. You know, there's moving and there's clicking.
Yeah.
And that's most.
Well, and then on the Switch too, though, you can also use the rotation because the motion controls.
Yeah, true. I'd be curious to see other games that do something like really neat with those mechanics, or use them like really smartly.
But yeah, you have the next section though, because you played the next game,
yeah.
And that's the longest video we have. It's the only one that's the full maximum length of the demo.
Yeah, we didn't want to both play all the same games because don't want to hit as many games. There were games we didn't play. So I played Kirby. I haven't played a Kirby game since the DS. So this is my first not 2D.
Yeah, this was the first 3D Kirby like this,
right?
Like ever. So, but yeah, Gwen has not played the original version on the Switch, but was playing one of the DLC.
I don't have the
levels.
Reference of it. You had to tell me that the like ice mechanic was new, where you like hit a block and it.
Oh, well, it is not ice. It's not.
I know it looks like ice.
It's stars.
Stars, yeah.
It's the Star-Crossed World or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just say the parts that are
because it looks like ice. Because it even like sparkles. Like it looks like how video games do cold.
Yeah.
And ice.
It does look like it should be ice, but it's not ice.
And so it's blue. And because it covers the ground, and any other game like this type of platformer, that means it's slippery now, but it's not slippery. Your brain expects you to like, especially when it covers an entire bridge, you're like, God dang it. But no, it's not actually slippery. You asked me if I felt what it feels like that changed. But like, even though, granted, I haven't played the original, it doesn't change too much. Sometimes when you hit one of those and all the stars appear, like the stars will like add a new road going somewhere. So like, they've made it so you need it to like advance, but it's just like any mechanic. Yeah. I'm someone who loves platformers. That's like the main type of game I like. So I liked it. I would definitely buy this game. Everything feels really nice and intuitive. Like, I was finding all of the hidden things.
Yeah, you were secret hunting.
I was secrets.
And then like something I noticed, like just as the observer, was So like the game on the Switch ran at like 30 FPS, and I've heard that there were some frame drops and stuff like that here and there, but in the Switch 2, like, it runs perfectly. And like even things that I would think would maybe on like a Switch 1 cause issues, like when the star effect is first enabled and like stuff is generating and stuff, like maybe that would have an influence. But no, it just seemed to run fine.
Yeah, it doesn't pitch. Like, even though that's a lot for it to process, it's seamless. Like, you really don't notice anything.
But yeah, after Kirby, we went over and did one that was just me. That was Drag and Drive. It looks like Drag X Drive. It is Drag and Drive.
And not Drag In.
Yeah, Drag and. But yeah, that one was kind of a surprise for me. Seeing it in the direct, I was like, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look fun. But it was fun. It still doesn't look great. I think that it's missing some personality, but it still, like, it felt really good to play and was actually surprisingly fun. Like, if you watch the video of me playing it, like, you see very quickly I realize how the like wheelchair steers and stuff like that. And during that tutorial, I'm like constantly trying to do more than it's letting me do.
I feel like it's the game that does the most with the mouse control. The way you transition, like you throw and then you put it back down.
Yeah. It feels like super intuitive. I did not have to like think a lot about how I was like doing things, though there were some times that for some reason my brain would think to turn, you go like this. You like that's how you turn. It's like that's not how you turn a wheelchair. You spin one wheel and you don't spin the other. So like I had to get used to that a little bit. Opposite. But it felt really good. Like you could spin your wheels in opposite directions to turn like super fast.
They were like ramps.
Yeah, you could go backwards just as fast as you could go forward. So sometimes it was just better to like zoom backwards instead of forwards, and then flip yourself around at the end. But like the movement was great. Like the movement is the best thing about that game. I wanted to have a racing mode. Like that game needs a racing mode. It would be so fun. The hardest thing though was like it felt a little tough to aim the ball and get it into the hoop. Like I would try to throw like at an angle, and I don't think that really did anything.
Neither team scored very much.
Yeah, we scored once. There was one score in the entire game, and that is probably a bit of a skill issue. But like we definitely struggled a bit, and also like we'd sometimes like go off a ramp and try to throw it in. Like maybe you'll like do a slam dunk. You don't. Maybe you can if you're right next to the hoop. But where we were, you just kind of would throw the ball and be like, and like just fall down. It didn't go very well. But overall, like I think it feels pretty bare bones. Like I don't know how much I would be willing to pay for this game were it on sale today. It just like there's not a lot of personality. It feels really good and it's really fun to just screw around in. But I'm just not convinced yet how much of a game is there. But like it is fun. I just don't know that I would like I don't know, like I don't see this being a game that gets a physical release. Like it feels like a game that's going to be like digital only $20, and people are going to forget about it in like 3 months or something after the Switch 2 comes out. But
maybe I'll get some more modes.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for is modes.
You have to appreciate like
character.
Nintendo not just subtly making like a game about like wheelchair basketball and like this added like diversity. Like it is like one of the the games they are highlighting. It's not just like
and the thing is, one of my favorite King of the Hill episodes is the wheelchair basketball episode, where like Bill possibly would be getting a wheelchair, so he's like in one for a while, and then because he's like diabetic or something, they're like, oh, we might have to amputate your foot, and he's like playing basketball with a wheelchair, and he gets rid of his diabetes because it was type 2, and he like worked out so aggressively. His doctor's like, it was early enough on, you don't have it anymore. And he was like sad because they took away his wheelchair and he couldn't play basketball anymore. Great episode. This game does have a lot of that episode's energy of just like how cool, like wheelchair basketball is such a cool sport. It is genuinely such a cool sport. Adding ramps makes it cooler. Like, it is just, the game is dripping with coolness but no personality, which is very strange. That's a strange mix, but
you mentioned like it's kind of a bare bones.
Yeah, it's very bare bones right now. And, you know, maybe that's just gonna be the demo, and like when it comes out, it's gonna have all this other stuff. It's gonna be like $60 and justify a price tag or something. Who knows? So I went to Metroid Prime 4, and initially I like filmed just some of myself so you could kind of see like me doing the different controls and stuff like that. And I didn't upload that, but yeah. Then Gwen came by. I was like, oh, can you like film for a bit and get some of the actual gameplay? And that's what you saw uploaded. Metroid Prime 4 is absolutely gorgeous, beautiful game. Loved to look at it. It was very nice. I do have a couple small things that I struggled with here and there. One of them was that, so like the scan visor isn't a separate visor you enable, which I think that's how it was in like in Corruption. It wasn't a separate visor. It was like a button you hit would switch into scan mode. It's still like that here. You hit X and you go into scan mode. I had to get used to that. There were a couple times that I'd like forget what the scan button was. I'm like looking at the thing, I'm like, what is that? Oh, it's X. Okay, let's start scanning. The motion controls felt good, but I didn't really get to use them in full. I personally really like playing Metroid. Like I played Metroid Prime Remastered entirely, pointer controls. I loved playing Corruption. That's my preferred way to play. I didn't get to use it a lot because they were highlighting the mouse controls, and I didn't want to like be like, I'm gonna switch to full motion mode. Screw you! Like I wanted to use the mouse controls and try them out. They felt very good. The firing of normal shots was a little weird because like there were two fire buttons. You could hit A or you could hit ZR, which then meant that your basic shots are right-clicking when you're in mouse mode, and that's a little like backwards. Like missiles were left-clicking and normal shots were right-clicking, but it's like that. I feel like normal shots should be like your left click and heavier shots should be your right click. So it felt a little awkward on that. You maybe would be able to remap it, but it was definitely weird that mouse mode didn't just like swap those two when you were in mouse mode, but it is what it is. One thing that was cool though is that I was able to invert the y-axis. That's my personal preference. Some games, even on PC, don't have that option. I have literally found games and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna try this, and it has no option to do that. And I know that it's an old-fashioned thing and not everyone does it, but like, why would you not have that on a game with mouse controls?
I also was gonna switch it.
Yeah, so I was very happy that was there. I switched it immediately and was like, yes. And like I did it like in a split second. It was very easy to get to that setting. But yeah, like the game felt really good. I did keep, for some reason, accidentally going into my morph ball when I meant to be using missiles, and at first I was like, oh, maybe I'm just used to like the remastered controls, but that was the same controls there. Y was the morph ball, but X was missiles, not L. So maybe that was it. Was that because scan replaced missiles? I was like, oh, it's a face button. A face button is missiles, but no face button was missiles. But either way, it was very good. I played in the performance mode, so I was playing at 1080p at 120 FPS. Genuinely, you do not need it. You do not need the 120 FPS. I could not tell the difference between a game that was running at 120 and a game that was running at 60 unless they were right next to each other, which thankfully they were. They had a Kirby booth right next to the Metroid Prime booth, and so I could see both at once. And I could see that there was a difference there, but you get diminishing returns each time you up that frame rate. So I honestly, like 4K 60, if it's a stable 60, this game's going to be beautiful and feel great. If you really are like a hardcore gamer and you want that experience at 120 FPS, you can have it. But it is definitely fine at 60. Your turn.
My turn. My pretty game.
This was the last one that Gwen did before I got lost.
Yeah, so I went over to Hades because... So I haven't played the first one, somehow. I was walking by and went, ooh, that looked nice. So I stopped and played it. The person at the table... by the way, every game we played standing. Just because there weren't chairs. They would just take up a
They
lot
had that
of room.
for
You
only
only
Dragon
had it for
Drive.
Dragon Drive.
Yeah, that was the only one with chairs.
The person there was telling me that Hades 2 is not actually a continuation of the story from Hades 1. She specifically said you don't need to have played Hades 1 to know what's going on in Hades 2. You might appreciate more things. But having played this, first of all, incredibly intuitive combat. Like, I don't know how it compares to Hades 1. Our cat's weird. But it, just the way you, like, slide attack, and you just, like, knock a button. Like, something about it, at least for me, and the types of games I play, was just beautiful. Of course, a gorgeous game. Obviously, if you like Greek mythology, it's got that going for it. I absolutely plan to purchase it, though I now want to play Hades 1. And I said to Jordan, I go, this really reminds me of Bastion. I loved that game. I like blew through it so quick. Does a quick Google search. Oh, they are the same studio.
I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the same company.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very combo-y, feel like. Just that satisfaction of, like, the way the combat was comboing all over the place, and it just felt really good. I don't know what he's doing.
He's happy.
He's happy.
But yeah, so after that, that's when I went on my great adventure, and Gwen never found me again.
We got lost.
I get lost. I did the Street Fighter 6 motion mode, and I played with one of the staff members.
Well, because also it was time for us to go on to Donkey Kong. Like, it was ours time.
Know.
But yeah, you lose track of time. I'm the timekeeper, and I couldn't find you.
Well, they were supposed to yell at me because I had the wrong color band to still be there, but they didn't. But yeah, so I played Street Fighter 6 with one of the staff members. Motion mode, not the actual game. The game, it ran pretty good. I couldn't tell if the frame rate was a stable 60 or not. It doesn't look like 60, but a lot of people said that it was 60, and I'm like, I don't know why it didn't feel like 60 to me. But yeah, the frame rate was super stable, supposedly. It felt like it was consistent, like it didn't feel like it was stuttering at all, but I don't know if it felt like 60 to me. I don't know why. But yeah, the motion mode, it is completely brain off. You're just waggling. It's pretty fun though. Like the Treehouse team said on Treehouse Live, it's a great party mode, especially if you have friends who aren't used to fighting games. Like, I'm not super big into fighting games. I just was waggling and it was fun. You will look stupid. Embrace it. Yeah, it was pretty fun. The staff member is a good sport. He was also trying to give someone else like instructions on how to play because the other staff member wasn't at the other TV, so he's like doing that while like trying to fight me. It was very fun. But yeah, it ran great. I don't know why anyone would play that seriously, but as a party game, it is a fun option.
That's all I need sometimes.
Yes. So then after that, I went over to Yakuza 0, and that game is gorgeous. So I know for a fact, this is something
there
I've
was a
heard
big
now.
sign that was like mature content.
That game runs 4K 60 FPS, consistent. No, I saw no frame drops when I was playing it. It felt like completely stable, and it was such a fun experience. Like I've never played Yakuza. I've watched friends play Yakuza, so it was the first time I was playing it. It was very fun. The staff member I had was also like, he was a very fun guy, and helped elevate the experience. And at the end he was like, you were one of the favorite like demos I've had of someone playing this, because I did both of the side quests. I didn't try to do the main story quest, and it was just a super fun time, and he enjoyed just watching me play through that, and we would like riff back and forth. It was a good time. But then after that is when I went to Donkey Kong Bonanza, significantly after Gwen had gone to Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I went at the scheduled time.
I went like almost at the next group's scheduled time. It was oops. I overstayed.
I lost track of you.
Yeah.
I walked through the room like 3 times and couldn't find him somehow.
But yeah, Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's very satisfying. It's a very cathartic game.
You just go around and just smash
you feel like you're in a rage room. You're just punching everything and breaking the earth.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool though. Like, one thing they specifically pointed out was like, oh, if you pause the game and look at the map, it updates to show like what you've done. And it does, and that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's exciting.
Also, I don't know if other Donkey Kong games have done this, and I don't know if you were doing this, but I forget what one. I think it was R. But
to like collect stuff. I think that's completely new. I don't know.
That was so nice. Because when you smash everything, there's a million like things to collect around you, and you just hit that button and it goes like.
Yeah, it just vacuums it up into you. But yeah, it was pretty fun. I'm not huge on like 3D platformers, but I thought it was a pretty fun game.
I'm the platformer in our house.
But I love the new Donkey Kong design. I love the Rare design, but this redesign, like, so expressive.
I like how he's a bit grungier.
He's a scrungly, doofy guy, and it's very fun. And
you get to see a full cutscene.
Yeah,
we got to see in the demo.
I felt like the entire time I was playing, I was missing things.
Oh yeah, I didn't get very far because you're like, I'm gonna go here and here.
Yeah,
and
like
here
you just. I was missing things because I was just running around doing a bunch of stuff.
Because you start in an area that's like a mine.
Yeah.
And you can just punch down through like layers of rock.
You could spend the entire demo in that mine.
I liked how the camera angle was when you were underground, when you were like...
See, I had some issues with it.
Did you?
Yeah, it didn't like me. I
it would show you your outline still.
Yeah.
Which was nice. You weren't just like
my
lost.
Camera was just getting stuck too close to me.
Was it?
Yeah, I was having some camera issues, but...
you can manually move the camera.
Yeah.
It largely follows you very well.
Yeah.
But if you need to, you can...
Yeah, I think...
this was the one where Rumble was
the HD Rumble in the cutscenes was really good.
Even throughout it.
Yeah. It felt very good. I noticed like a couple minor frame drops, like especially towards the start of the demo. But it felt good for the rest of it, honestly. Mm-hmm. I'd heard some people say like they noticed some more, but I really only noticed it like right at the start, oddly enough. Like when I was punching through the wall, like in the start of the trailer. I had a frame drop and I was like, oh, it's weird. This is like not a very intensive scene to me.
I don't know how many games you've played that have this, but especially amongst like platformers where you can like hit a bunch of stuff all at once. Especially like things like, it's not a platformer, but Minecraft, if you hit a bunch of blocks at once, it like crashes for a second. It's like, whoa. I didn't have any frame drop throughout it. It ran very well.
Yeah.
Even when you were hitting everything.
But yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts on Bonanza. Like, it was pretty good, but I'm not a huge 3D platformer guy. Like, I like Super Mario 3D World. That's my 3D platformer. But no, it did feel very good. And it's a very impressive game. It feels like one of those games that I'm like, this will be so fun to watch people play. Like that's my mindset, is like, if it's a game that I don't necessarily like to play, but I can tell it's high quality, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to be watching Alpharad play this or something like that.
People finding there's probably so many little hidden things everywhere.
Yeah,
like people
there's
finding
so
those.
much stuff.
Because you would punch down and find a bunch of little pockets
Yeah.
of areas.
You find like
with,
just a
coins
cave
and stuff, and you're like, okay, hi.
Yeah, I found a hidden banana at one point, just punching through a wall, and there's just a banana there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna take this banana.
Did you ever find just like a section of those like rainbowy coins?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, hello, yes.
Yeah, very polished experience. Still not 100% perfect, but it has a little more time to cook. So I'm excited to see more from that game for sure. But yeah, at the end of the experience, they cut off my wristband.
I still had mine.
Yeah, they didn't take hers because she got lost.
I got lost, couldn't find him. I had like, in the Nintendo folks didn't have like any sort of intercom system because
my phone was on airplane
in one
mode.
room. So how do you get lost? I get lost.
My phone was on
I had
airplane
people.
mode.
I'm like trying to describe my husband. I'm like, can you help me find him?
I was probably like mid Yakuza, like having a great time with the guy, and they're all like, "Where is he? Where is he? I don't see him in Sector 4." And I was
still going around to different games and stuff. I'm like, I'm still gonna do stuff, but because if I get hungry, I get really shaky and really faint. My blood pressure drops. I just have a thing. And so I was like, I can no longer search for him. So then I got to go down the like employee elevator, the like secret elevator, and then you turn off airplane mode, call me. So that's how we ended up getting
I was going to go to
reunited
Breath of
again.
the Wild, like, and say like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Breath of the Wild," and she's like, "I'm downstairs," and I was like, "Oh."
You're like, how?
How?
So I was the like
You were the problem
little
person of the
sickly
day.
problem person. So, and then I got a pity bag.
Yeah.
Because I only played 3 of those.
Oh, this is hefty. You have stuff in it?
I forgot to take stuff out.
Oh, that's
So,
fair.
you won this if you filled all 6 of your slots. I only filled 3.
It's
But
a
I
nice
got
bag.
lost and I was sad, so they gave me a prize.
But very nice bag. They also gave us like a sticker. I don't know what I'm gonna put it on yet, but
So I had to cut my wristband off, and I still have it. We were yellow group.
yeah. So we
And
still
then
have our
we still have like our lanyards and stuff. But yeah, this has like a lot of compartments in it.
yeah. It has like
This has a popular.
main section, zipper in here. The sides are big. Like, it was a good bag. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I thought they would just give us the sticker. Like I was expecting the sticker. I was not expecting the bag as maybe a T-shirt. Yeah, that
We
was
also
nice.
went to the Nintendo store in New York.
We went to the Nintendo store and I got Waluigi, and I got a curly form Tatsugiri to go with my stretchy form.
Now we gotta get the pink one.
Yes, we just need to get Droopy. But so I did promise that I would answer some questions for people, or at least do my best to. And I got 3 questions. First one was, well, technically one of these is for me, but the first one was from our friend Abi, who big into tech. He asked me to look for the dimming zone artifacts, and I was like, what is a dimming zone? So I had to look it up, and apparently it's a thing that LCD and non-OLED screens basically have with HDR, where a section has to be lit up, you know. So like basically, if there's one light dot, you'll see like on the around it, there's like a section that is lit up. I did not particularly notice it, but I didn't have a lot of good opportunities to. I was hoping to be able to test that in like something like Breath of the Wild, where you have a lot of control and you can like tuck your camera into a dark corner, and then there'd be like a light particle floating through it. But I really didn't notice much in the way that, especially because we were playing on like it's such a small screen. It felt good. I didn't really notice much. I'm sure if you were to put like it through like a stress test to find a dimming zone, you would. But my experience with it was fine. It looked great. My question that I had was, does Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2 support VR mode? And I didn't get to check, so I don't know. I'm tempted to try to ask. Yeah, there's like a little kid playing, and I was like, I'm not gonna like. Hey, can you go to the pause menu? Can you look at the settings for me? Like, I'm not gonna do that. But like it does have a lot of the stuff from the original. So I'm hoping that it does have VR mode, because if you could do like output from your dock to a VR headset, you could be playing in 4K 60 FPS in VR, which is ideal. But I kind of want to check to see if that's still an option, even though the Switch 2 doesn't support Nintendo Labo VR. I kind of want to ask. I tried to reach out to support, but I asked a different question, and they answered that, and then they closed for the day, so I didn't get to ask about Breath of the Wild. But I don't know if they would have told me in the first place.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And then the last question was from Pichu is Lost, who is a Twitch streamer, and one that I have seen around because we have mutual friends. And I am friends with some VTubers. At least I feel like we're friends. I hope we're friends. Hero! But yeah, so Pichu's question was if there was anything Animal Crossing anywhere, and there really wasn't.
Doesn't mean
you know, they
not,
obviously
but...
didn't announce anything during the Direct or anything like that. And I think part of that might be that some of like the actual Animal Crossing team is probably working on the new Tomodachi Life game. It looks a lot like their work, and it's pretty fitting for them to go and do that. But that's also the team that works on Splatoon, so I don't know. They could be doing a lot of things. But I was really hoping that there might be like something that I could find in like Mario Kart, because you know obviously like Isabelle and like the villagers were in Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mm-hmm. I didn't see anything like that. I'm hoping that if Mario Kart World has DLC though, that it is kind of like, because you know we have this big continent thing that you can drive on. It's like, what if they had a second one that was just Nintendo properties? And so they have like Animal Crossing's track is there, but then you can also go to Hyrule Circuit and you can go to F-Zero. I think that would be very cool. And yeah, just being able to drive around in Animal Crossing town would be very funny. So I'm hopeful that they'll, because they know Animal Crossing is one of their heavy hitters now, and I don't think that they're going to neglect it, but definitely not going to show us anything on it immediately. Which
I mean, there's only so many franchises you can really show at a few hour.
There's
events.
only so much you can do at once, yeah. But I'm hopeful that we'll have something soon. I don't think we're going to get an Animal Crossing game soon. I think that's going to take a little while, but I think that we will at least get Animal Crossing showing up somewhere or somehow, whether that's through some like integration into like Mario Kart or through like a side game that uses the characters or something. Who knows? But yeah, they did not have anything there, but I'm hopeful that there will be something in the nearest future.
Final thoughts, impressions, feelings, emotions.
I'm ready.
Right.
I'm ready. If I was going to pre-order it. I was going to pre-order it today. I had planned my plan. But then the tariffs happened. And I couldn't. But I was going to pre-order it today. My plan was to like literally as soon as I got off work, Uber to like I was gonna schedule an Uber to pick me up as soon as I could from work. Go up to
For
like
reference, he can't drive by himself. So
well, you have the car.
I have the
So
car.
even if I couldn't get there. So I was gonna like Uber all the way up because there's like a GameStop near where Gwen works, and then I was gonna go to that GameStop, set up a pre-order, and then go meet her at her office, and then head home from there. But that was not an option because the pre-orders were tariff blocked. But now the tariffs are gone, I guess. I don't know. So maybe taking it one day at a time, I guess. We'll see what Nintendo says. But I'm pre-ordering as soon as I can.
You'll like pre-order it no matter what the cost of...
If it's $700, I'm like, my paycheck, it is what it is. I mean, I already paid like over $1,000 to get us a hotel to go to this event.
Yeah, we were at.
Yeah, we were like literally half a block away from the event and like 2 blocks.
We haven't gone on a vacation in a long time.
Yeah, it was a forced
like
vacation
years.
by Nintendo, and I was like, we're taking it.
We're making the most of it.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was a good time.
Good food. Overall, really want to play a lot of
good
games.
Experience.
Really want. I'm gonna steal your console.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
For reference, I only have a Switch Lite.
Yeah.
We don't need 2 full Switches.
I was debating like if we would get 2 Switch 2s. I'm like, I feel like your Switch Lite can still do most of the things that you would want.
Yeah.
And you can just steal my like, Switch 2 from me to use.
I'm excited to compare them, like,
Yeah.
truly side by side. I kind of wish they had like a Switch 1 or an OLED,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
next
you
to
could have
it.
brought one, and I didn't think to bring mine.
I didn't know.
So I didn't.
think to.
But, yeah, that's really all of our thoughts. I'm late for a stream.
Yeah.
But
it is 7.
yeah, it's 7:12 for us, and I have to go get ready for that.
We could only start as early as we got home from work.
Yeah, but yeah. So thank you so much if you stopped by to watch this and have watched through what we have recorded is over an hour and a half. I don't know what it's going to be like cut down to, but
Hour 20.
2 hours somehow.
So,
But yeah, it was a really cool experience. I'm really excited for Switch 2. And I'm hopeful that things stabilize and I can pre-order one soon. That's my big goal.
pretty much any gripe we've talked about is like
It's minor.
it's nitpicking. Like,
yeah,
it
this
was
is me
wonderful.
trying to find problems.
Yeah.
I've been greatly surprised. I think the console itself is leagues beyond what I expected.
I feel like overall the Nintendo community is being a bit harsh.
Yes,
being
there's
extra nitpicky.
I think
there's
they got some ill will from the game pricing.
Yeah.
But some of that was misinformation. I blame Jeff Keighley. There's been just a lot of things where like things have been reported in like misleading ways, and there's some things that aren't good. Like, why is the demo game $10? Like, why is the tour of the Switch 2 hardware a $10 game? That's a stupid idea. No one defends that.
We didn't get a chance to play that one, but it was playing on a
because you don't get a
screen.
thing for it. I was like, you
I
won't
know.
even give me a thing to play this, even though this is like showing us the stuff of the game. So I had no reason to play it while we were there. I played Hogwarts Legacy because I was like, I need a spot and there's no line here, so I played Hogwarts Legacy because it was
no
empty.
Line at Civilization.
There was no line at 7. I kind of felt
The
bad because
guy
Civ's a good
really
game.
wanted-
The guy really wanted us
He'd
to
be
play
like,
Civ.
"Come make your empire," and we're like,
I'm just
"I want
looking
to go
around
pick
right now.
Kirby."
And then I was like on my way to like get my last spot, and I was like, ooh, there's literally no line at Harry Potter. I'm just gonna stop here. And I'm gonna do that and get my last thing, and it worked. I got my last thing from Harry Potter, and it was what it was. Yeah, it was. Overall, the experience was great though. But yeah. So, anyways, again, thank you so much if you watched through this whole video.
I have made my annual appearance.
Yeah. And
See you next year.
so we're gonna go do human things as humans do. You probably should too. I'm gonna go get ready for my stream, but I'm gonna be starting at like 7:30 now.
Gotta get dinner.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.
Hope you enjoyed our cats.
That's true. You did get
You
a
got all
cat
three.
tour during this. Goodbye.